Okay, so today we are going to do this discussion. I don't know whether we need this Manjushri prayer or not. Maybe we need Manjushri prayer invoked before raise the question and answer to him, so you can have a good question. But so this question and answer is also like some sort of like a test too. And so far we've completed 4 chapters. So we'll see at how much we understood the Shantideva's advice. Definitely that also we can generate Bodhicitta at the beginning and then do the question answer, and at the end we can dedicate. This is also work. So therefore we can just generate Bodhicitta ourselves for just 1 minute. And then, yes, now if you have question, you can raise, start. If you're not, I will start. So, okay, let me raise question to you. First of all, this Bodhicharyavatara, it's the belongs to which path? Which path this scripture this belongs to? Anyone can give answer. No need to wait. Whoever knows, just answer. No, it belongs to. This Bodhicharyavatara belongs to what? Mahayana. Yes, Mahayana. And within Mahayana, there's a sutra and there's a tantra. So this scripture belongs to which category? Sutra. Sutrayana. And within the Sutrayana, that there's a 3 vehicles. The Buddha termed the 3 vehicles. So where this belongs to. Where this particularly text that which we are studying, it is belongs to. Second will of Dharma. Yes, second will of Dharma. Second will of Dharma. And then, okay, and then how many chapters is in this scripture? 10 chapter. 10 chapter. This every day I'm repeating that one. There's a 10 chapters, and there's a, and how many main theme? 10 chapters, but what are the main themes? How many main subject? 3? Okay. So what are the 3? How to divide this 10 chapter into 3? First, no. It has a 10 chapter, right? So 10 chapter has a main 4 theme, main 4 subject, right? 4 or 3? I'm answering now. I'm answering. Actually, Ani, you said 3, so I should leave it 3. So I should leave it to to you to describe the 3. What are the 3? This actually, I'm always repeating at the beginning every teaching, right? So actual teaching, this way of Bodhisattva's life has a 10 chapter, but mainly 4 themes. And first, second, third chapter is the one theme, which is showing that the how anyone can receive the Bodhisattva's vow. And then next, fourth, fifth, sixth chapter is guiding how to maintain that Bodhisattva's vow, which we already received. And then 7, 8, 9 chapter, and not just maintain, but also how to increase, how to develop further. And then last chapter, dedication and making aspirations. So these are the 4 main themes about this Bodhicharyavatara, right? Okay, then if you have question, you raise. Otherwise, I'll raise question. You can look book. You can look the book.
So I have a question. So the Bodhicitta is the foundation. It's a foundation of the practitioner who go in a path of Mahayana.
Mm-hmm.
But in the modern life, even myself, we up and down,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we appreciate that if you're present here, the bodhicitta, from my experience, we come here morning, Saturday morning and Sunday morning practice, so the bodhicitta increase.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I go home, right, we also practice, but not like here.
Mm-hmm.
So the bodhicitta going down,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So so I also look at back that up and down. So when we going down, I try my best to bring up again,
Mm-hmm.
but not easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So and I look at all the practice
Mm-hmm.
the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So can you help us the best way if we cannot miss you?
Mm-hmm.
Cannot come here. Some
Mm-hmm.
people need all the busy, all the
Mm-hmm.
issues. So
Mm-hmm.
what's the technique to help us to bring up the energy of bodhicitta?
Mm-hmm. What is the technique? What is the
Because
technique?
at home you also practice.
Practice.
Even I'm driving, I also you're calling and listening, but different way,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And the energy going down.
Mm-hmm.
And some people also want to come, but they cannot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And the bodhicitta go far
Uh-huh.
away,
Uh-huh.
right? So it's like that. So some people they want to come back to get energy,
Mm-hmm.
but not easy.
Yeah. 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 Okay. So that now one technique is to contemplating on its beneficial. Yes, its benefit. That's why Shantideva, right, starting this first chapter, telling its benefits. So it's very good to memorize some of the stanza at the very beginning. For instance, that Shantideva says, "Geva shen kun chushin shindunis," right? That is stanza number what? The first chapter. You look at the first chapter. The first chapter and stanza number 6. So stanza number 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10, here, 11, and 12, 13, 13 and the 14, the 2 line. This is all Shantideva giving some technique. So you can contemplate and you can study this, and then whichever you feel strong connection, sweet for yourself, and that stanza, try to memorize it. In general, yes, we have this very memory that bodhicitta is the foundation of Mahayana path. As this, I mean, you have these memories, and then the foundation of Mahayana path, which means that bodhicitta itself has a great deal of merit, just even generating a moment. That basically we know, we have this memory. So this memory, we should remind ourselves again and again. That's the one technique to not to lay it low, but to try to increase, try to develop. And especially, and if you need any of these stanza to memorize, and this is also very good to keep any of this. For example, this chapter number 6, you look in it. No, stanza number 6, sorry. chapter 1, stanza number 6. Stanza number 6, that how Shantideva described the potential of Bodhicitta. The virtue hers is weak, and always evil is of great and overwhelming strength. Except for the perfect Bodhicitta, what other virtue is there that can lay it low? This is very fact, actually. This is now, it is really needed for people like us. People like us. Because as I told you during this teaching time, when we look into ourselves, when we analyze ourselves, within a 24 hours, how many time we spending in virtues, and how many times we are spending in a non-virtuous, and how many times we are spending in a neutral, right? So approximately, roughly, we can say that maybe most of the time, general people, most of the time, the human, general human, I should say maybe human, general, they spend more time in neutral, doing nothing, sleep, eat, work, like that, neutral. And then after neutral, maybe more in a non-virtue, right? Either we kind of like trying to achieve something we desire, either we try to get rid of something which I dislike, which or for, or I don't like this man to be here, these people to be here, blah, blah, blah. And then we talk, and then during the talk also we generate some sort of like emotions. And when we analyze ourselves, this is, I'm talking about general human, how they spend one day. And then within this 24 hours, most of the time, probably, I'm not sure, probably we spend more time in doing neutral actions. And then after that, maybe more time spending in a non-virtuous. And then virtuous. Virtuous is the comparing with the neutral actions and non-virtuous actions, that we normal human being doing virtuous action less, right? Virtuous action less. So now, if we just do this general virtuous and non-virtuous, as I'm giving you this example, let's say this, let estimate 20 within this 24 hours, let's say we spend 10 hours in neutral, okay, and then 8 hours doing non-virtue, and then 6 hours doing virtue, right? Let's estimate in that way. Now 6 hours we do virtue, but we do 10 hour non-virtue. And then this 10 hour and 6 hour, when it's make kind of like a equal, then this 6 hour can reduce the 6 hours non-virtue. But 4 hours non-virtues is there, we storage. Now think, every day we storage 4 hours of non-virtue. Every day. So 1 week, how many non-virtue we storage? How many bad karma we storage? And then 1 month, 1 year, decade, 10 year, and then life, and life after life. Every day, if without having any of this method, this powerful antidote, just normal virtue can equal by normal non-virtue. Then what we left is always non-virtue action. always bad karma is left. Therefore, here, son, virtue thus is weak, and always evil is of great and overwhelming strength. Always. Always how? Always like that. Every day you storage 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours, and it is overwhelmed now. There's no such general normal virtue can lay it low. It cannot do this. Normal virtue and non-virtue equal. 6 hours, 6 hours equal. Then still we left 4 hours. Now we need some different antidote. That big method. One moment can be equal 10 hours. This Bodhicitta is like that powerful antidote. This one moment can lay it low like 10 hours. 10, but also 10 hours normal non-virtue. Okay? That way, that when we think about that way, then this is also this chapter number 6, how it is saying, except for the perfect bodhicitta, what other virtue is there that can lay it low? Cannot reduce other virtues. Other virtues is like you do one good thing and you do one bad thing, equal, finish. But this bodhicitta, and then how to say, normally kind of like a how to say, normal general human. I hope it is rare that I want, for example, like I want to harm 100 people in the same time. That kind of willing may be rare. I just want to pick up one specific person who I dislike. I want to fix that person. Right? So just one object, one action. Right? Generally, I hope that humans are more like that. But some humans are, they wanna destroy a whole country to give suffering to the whole thousands of people. Then that's very great karma, bad karma. But generally speaking, our day-to-day life, our audience, most of the time they don't generate that bad thought, right? They just wanna deal with the one person who they dislike. Highly likely that is the most. We don't generate more. We don't really generate that really bad mind that I want to get rid of 100 people. I want to kill 100 people in the one time. That's very rare for us, right? So therefore, this is one non-virtue, one object, one action, one thought. If you generate, I want to kill this 100 people, then 100 object, and then 100 action, 100 thing, 100 thought. So 100 kill action. But normally we have this rare, this kind of thought is rare. Here this bodhicitta opposite, letting us have a mind to help countless beings. Then object is countless, action is countless, and then thinking is countless. So therefore merit is countless. So that countless merit, that generally we count every day. I want to fix this, and after this, one. Maybe there's a number. Within one day, we may have like a, let's say we may have like a 10,000 bad actions. Amount, let's say number wise, we did 10,000 non-virtuous action. And then now this 10,000 non-virtuous action can be laid low by this countless virtuous action. It can lay it low. That's the one unique of having this bodhisattva within oneself. And these kind of stanza, any of this stanza, and also further how he's saying, for many eons deeply pondering the mighty sage. Now this is something, if you have really confident on Buddha, then this stanza is good to memorize. If you have full of confidence in Buddha's word, then this is good. Here, you see, for many eons deeply pondering the mighty sage, saw its benefit, whereby unnumbered multitudes are brought with ease to supreme joy. This is something, if you have full of confidence in Buddha's word, then this is good stanza to memorize, to stand, use this technique to develop, willing to have bodhisattva within oneself. And then another one also, there's many, right? And then here, stanza number 8, those who wish to crush the many sorrow of existence, who wish to quell the pain of living being, who wish to have experience of myriad joys, should never turn away from bodhisattva. So these are the technique that Shantideva provided to us to keep in our mind of this power of bodhisattva, and then strengthen yourself to have it within yourself. That's one thing. And then there's also another way too. We say that going with a good friend, staying with a good friend helps to remind yourself, and to, through his way of thinking, doing, can help you to not to forget that. Therefore, it is important saying that avoid the bad friends, because if you go with the bad friend, stay with the bad friend, that will going to influence you. And way of your friend thinking, you are going to start thinking. Way of your friend doing, you are going to start doing that. Then if your friend is kind of like trying to remind him or herself always this kind of like a bodhisattva and trying to practice, that also influences you. That's another technique. So this technique is actually good, right? Always there. And then Tötop saying this. Now this is the one. Tötop means power of listening or contemplating this benefit again and again will going to be the technique to not to forget and to develop. It's very good to remind oneself every morning, regardless what. Just remind ourselves that since I have this precious human rebirth, and my purpose of this precious human rebirth is to get rid of, reduce and get rid of this, my karma and affective emotions. And to do that, this self-centered attitude is my main problem maker. And the self-centered attitude, this bodhisattva is the exact opposite, contradicting with the self-centered attitude. That's the very antidote to reduce the self-centered attitude. Even for that, now not just only the virtue. This bodhicitta is also very good for reduce our self-centered attitude as well, which is the root of the problem, right? So these things, regardless that whether right now 100% we are able to apply or not, but it is always good to remind oneself every morning. When you wake up and then you just think of this precious human rebirth and then the purpose of my precious human rebirth. Every day, just remind.
And before I go to bed too.
Hmm?
So before I go to bed, is it continue?
If you can, yes, at least morning
Yeah.
when your mind is fresh. That technique, I think. Any of this, if you can, all of this, memorize this all stanza. If you cannot, whichever you feel more kind of like a connected to you, or whichever you feel more the common sense or the make sense to you, just memorize that word, that stanza, and then read that stanza every morning. Like this. Virtue thus is weak, and always evil is of great and overwhelming strength. Except for the perfect Bodhicitta, what other virtue is there that can lay it low? So you read that every morning to remind oneself that why I have to generate Bodhicitta. That? Yeah, that is a good question. Then what? Finish question? Okay, so what is the main subject of first chapter? What is the main subject of first chapter? What Shantideva really trying to let us understand through this first chapter? Shantideva letting us trying to silent. Huh? Yeah, actually, it's just like on the top there, the excellent of Bodhicitta, right? The excellent of Bodhicitta. But I want more description, not just that. Can you say it a little more? How? That what really Shantideva was trying to let us understand through this first chapter.
Anyone can have it.
Huh?
Anyone can have it. Anyone can have it.
Anyone can have it? Ah, that's not really Shantideva saying. Here, look at here, stanza number 4. Look at stanza number 4. Read the stanza number 4. Read. Anna, you are the one who answered this one, right?
So
Read
hard
this
to
one.
find the ease and wealth, whereby the aims of being began. If now I felt to turn it to my profit, how could such a chance be mine again?
This is the one. And then the stanza number 5.
Just as on a dark night black with clouds, the sudden lightning glares and all is clearly shown. Likewise, rarely through the Buddha's power, virtue thoughts rise free and transit in the world.
He's not really saying anyone, right? Actually, yes, anyone. But specifically, this 2 stanza is clearly that the person who have this precious human rebirth, the stanza number 4, that's the best, how to say, that's the best foundation, or the, not foundation, that's the best form who have that can generate this bodhicitta. And then mind, this stanza number 5, is the mind. Right? Just as on the dark night black with clouds, the sudden lighting blast and all is clearly shown. This is example. Likewise, rarely through the Buddha's power, virtuous thought rise, breathed and transcend in the world. You understand this now? This is talking about the mind, that the person who can generate the willing to have this bodhicitta is through the power of Buddha's teaching. Through the power of Buddha's teaching means that people who doesn't get really those through the power of Buddha's teaching will going to have a less chance for them within themselves to be able to generate that thought that I should do some virtuous. This is not talking about bodhicitta. In general, virtuous, willing to do some good. Right? So there's a no word in this chapter number first saying that anyone can generate bodhicitta. Yes, it is talking about the quality of bodhicitta, yes. And then what? Okay, explain more. It's talking about quality of bodhicitta, and it's talking about anyone can have bodhicitta. And then what else?
It's good to have it.
Huh?
It's good to have it. It's talking about why it is good to have it.
It's talking about why it is good to have
Why
it.
is it beneficial to have it?
Uh-huh.
And the consequence of having it. I mean, and I'm talking about if you have it, what is the benefit?
If you have it, what is the benefit?
If
Yeah.
you don't have it, what is your loss? Something.
Mm-hmm. And it is also introducing the bodhicitta itself in this chapter number first. It's talking about quality of bodhicitta, and it was also introducing that which is the best form can have this bodhicitta. Firstly, he started with this. Who is the best form? Who gave the greatest opportunity to be able to generate bodhicitta? Then he began with person who have all this 18 quality of precious human. Not just that, with the having a power of Buddha's teaching, that who can able to hear that, so they can, through that word, they can have a sense of willing to do some good things. Persons who have that kind of two conditions, and that is the best, what do you call that? That is the best foundation, or that is the best form and mind to generate this bodhicitta. And then talking about quality of bodhicitta. And then after that, he's also introducing that what is bodhicitta. And then consequences of having that bodhicitta. And then also he's talking about the specialness of, let's say, extraordinariness, how can you say this? Extraordinariness of this bodhicitta within a person. How that person becomes extraordinary.
So, I rewrite this chapter. Is ceremony like divination offering, small offering. So we call chanting and we pray. I don't understand much in Tibetan, but I follow in English a little bit. We have some talk, some sutra, great bodhicitta for all human beings, right? And they come and they receive, and all the way. So they don't have the body like us, right? They don't have the body like us, right?
Who?
When we ceremony, we offer for divination offering, right?
Oh, those spirit.
Yes. So they also listen like what we offer, right? Put everything sutra. So they have capacity to receive all that, and they can
generate bodhicitta. Yes, they can. Yeah, this is talking about the best. Shantideva was introducing the best form is this precious human form to generate bodhicitta. And he is not saying those other form cannot generate bodhicitta. He is not saying that. Other form, yes, they can generate bodhicitta, but it is very difficult for them. Because first of all, they don't really able to understand Buddha's teaching. They don't have that intelligence to understand. And second, there's no teaching at all at that time. Their land, their place.
So what is the benefits of that ceremony for them? What benefits for them?
For them?
Yeah.
Yeah, for them, this to kind of like involve support in this virtuous activity.
Oh,
yes, involved together with us, and then to the those what do you call it? Those bad spirit, to prevent or stop them to creating bad karma continuously. So we dispel out. So they don't have a chance to create bad karma. And to the good spirit, we're asking them to involve.
And if they don't have intelligence like a human being, but if they have a chance come many times, and because they cannot change the form, right? And many times day by day, even you can they reborn to
Yes, that really can. And even that's now, even in a Shakyamuni Buddha's history, those animals like the birds, how they listen all the time, this Buddha's teaching, somebody's just reading and they There's a history related with one monk, that specific one sutra. He's reading this every morning, like his everyday practice. He's just reading. And beside his room, there's a tree. And on the tree, there's always the one bird has the whole house. And then that bird's every morning hearing his recitation every morning. And because of that, that bird later born as a human and become a monk. And then be able to understand this sutra easily, because that bird already heard many times this sutra. And that bird became monk, and he understand that sutra immediately, very easily. That is one example. Likewise, and whoever hear even those recitations, it is beneficial for them. This is giving one example, historical example, that how it can benefit just listening, just hearing. Bird doesn't understand anything, right? He's just, and he also doesn't have really intention to listen either. That bird is just, his house is there. That's why every morning he's there.
He become monk.
Later, yeah. He born as a human and become a monk. And then especially he understands this sutra easily.
And for the people when they are alive, the Bodhicitta is very strong, right? But for some reason, condition that people don't have enough virtue, when they pass away, on that moment, the mind stay in a state of fear, right? If that in that situation, we don't have enough merit beside that people. So the question I ask, so after that person pass away, they have enough merit to come back rebirth as a human being.
Who?
The
Those person?
Yeah, when they are alive,
Mm-hmm.
the Buddhists are very strong.
Good.
Recently,
Mm-hmm.
but some condition happen
when they are about to die.
Mm-hmm. But that person stay in the mind of the state of fear.
Mm-hmm.
They lose
Mm-hmm.
the Bodhicitta
not there. Mm-hmm.
So when that person pass away, they have the chance to rebirth as a human being.
I think so. Yes, I think so. Actually, it is very important, the last moment. That last moment is really becomes conditions for oneself to where and go next. But still, always, that condition is not going to decide. As I told you, how Nagarjuna said, that how the karma is giving its result. First, it based on which is heaviest. Which is heaviest? Chivakam, Nivakam, Kumbhakam, Munjikam, yes. And then the second, which is the closest condition. Second, this is the second. So therefore, that person, even though he died in a very fear and miserable, that he cannot have bodhicitta at that time, he cannot have a piece of pie. But before he had so much strong bodhicitta that he already accumulated merit, very strong. So now, as Nagarjuna said, when karma ripen, how it is going to ripen is first depend on which is heaviest. If good is heaviest, good will going to be ripen first. If bad is strong, then bad is ripening first. But for this case, Ani, you asking, the good is stronger in winning, then he will gonna experience the good one first. Condition is next. If the strongness is same, equal, then condition. Then decided by condition. Negative chivakam, niwakamda kombakam niwakamda kombakam munje kain tadale munje kain tadale. Even here they're saying vegetable chiwakam niwakamda kombakam munje kain tadale namama member. Same strongness, the first which karma give result first is the based on which is heavier, which is stronger, that going to be give first result. If that is same, equal, then decided by this, which condition is getting close for oneself to have a chance to ripen, that will going to ripen. And even the condition is same, then whichever you have more familiar, more used to it, that will going to become first. Even that is equal, same, then whichever you done first, that will going to come first. Which means in this only your case, he did good first,
Right.
bad later. So good will going to come first.
I have one my Dharma brother.
Mhm.
I know him. His bodhicitta beginning is very strong. Lately, I contact with him. He suicide. In the last moment, like that.
Anyway, maybe he have a good reason or whatsoever. But that's not the right solution. Anyway, so any question? Kim, no question? She, no question? Doubtless? Very good. Rojalama, no question? You also doubtless? Okay, so Dojalama, if you have no question, I will ask you a question.
You died.
Okay, Dojalama. So, how many chapters in Bodhicharyavatara?
10.
Yes. Good. And how many main subject within this 10 chapter?
Oh, I don't know.
Dajilama, I always repeating at the beginning of the teaching, right?
Yeah.
This actual way of Bodhisattva's life teaching has a 10 chapter,
Yeah.
but main 4 theme, 4 subject. Okay, then she. What is the main point Shantideva's guiding in the 2nd chapter? Huh? Compassion?
I think he's talking about the 7 branch offering.
Yes, why?
Because we have to remove defilements and accumulate merits before receiving wealth.
Yes, that's correct. So as I told you, remember, this bodhicitta is like a very huge thing. It is not easy to fit any house. So therefore, in order to fit that huge thing in your house, first you need to make space in your room. So make sure when that big things comes, you can fit easily, right? So likewise, and this within our mind, we need to have some space to be able to generate bodhicitta, because this bodhicitta needs space within our mind. With a very angry mind, which means we are not giving space for the bodhicitta. With a very self-centered mind, we are not giving space to the bodhicitta. With a very pride mind, we are not giving space to the bodhicitta. With the very jealousy mind, we are not giving space to the bodhicitta. With the very desire attached to one's belongings, we are not giving space to the bodhicitta. So this all 7 branches of practice is helping, trying to letting us reduce and make space those pride, less desire. First, prostration is antidote for the pride. Offering is antidote for the stinginess and desire. And then confession is the antidote for that hated. And then rejoicing, antidote for the jealous mind. Also, when we have a strong jealous mind, we are not giving space to the bodhicitta. So therefore, Shanti, they are introducing this chapter number 2 to make it space within your mind to be able to fit this bodhicitta in your mind. To have bodhicitta within our mind, we need to remove those emotions. With those emotions, and then it is hard to fit this bodhicitta with it. Therefore, he is introducing all those 7 branches of practicing. Mainly, yes, accumulation merit and confessed one's negativity. Purified negativity and make sure enough accumulate merit to fit that precious mind. Right. So then, Kim, now what? The third chapter. Third chapter is talking about what Shandideva was really trying to guide in. Third chapter. Actually, you can see in this book, right, taking hold of the Bodhicitta, how they titled on the top of the book, taking hold of Bodhicitta. And then, Kim, if you explain a little more. Taking hold of Bodhicitta, that's the main subject of third chapter, right? Then, okay, where actually showing that how to take Bodhicitta. Bodhisattvas. Wow. Which stanza? Read this. Okay, here. Here. Look at stanza number 23. Stanza number 23. Just as all the Buddha of the past have brought forth the awakened mind, and in the precepts of the Bodhisattvas, step by step, about and train. Likewise, the next stanza. Likewise, for the benefit of beings, I will bring the birth and awakened mind, and in those precepts, step by step, I will abide and train myself. So, what is this two stanza showing? Okay, anyone can give answer now. This two stanza. This 24, chapter number 3, 23 and 24 stanza. What really this two stanza is for? What is this two stanza is for? Okay, anyone can give answer.
How to take hold.
How
to take hold.
Yeah, how to take bodhisattva, the actual ritual, that how one can receive bodhisattva's vow. With this two stanza, we can receive bodhisattva's vow. This is also accordance with the Nagarjuna tradition. Shantideva is following this Nagarjuna's tradition way of taking bodhisattva's vow. As here, see, just as all the Buddha of the past have brought forth a awakened mind, and in the precepts of the bodhisattvas, step by step about and trained. Likewise, for the benefit of beings, I will bring to birth the awakened mind, and in those precepts, step by step, I will abide and train myself. This two stanza actually, this morning we did. Every Sunday we're doing this. We're reading this two stanza to take actual bodhisattva's vow. Every Sunday we're doing this. Jitarmani desheji chanjutuni keba chanjusimbi labala tedarimshi neba ta. One stanza, right? And then what? Next stanza. Deshin rola pendendu chanjusimni keji deshin labala rimbashindu labara gi. This is exactly true stanza, that which every Sunday morning we're doing practice. And this is the true stanza, the actual ritual, that how to take mudsa. Wow. Okay, then here, and in those precepts, step by step, I will abide and train myself. Now it's talking about step by step. So within precepts, there is some precepts that which we should avoid, and some precepts we need to train, and then precepts that which we need to avoid and precepts which we need to train. Okay, so the now precepts which we need to avoid, and how we can say this step by step. step by step. Here it says, right? In those precepts, step by step, I will abide and train myself. What makes that step by step? First of all, let me ask you here this one, that kind of like there's a prohibition, right? Prohibited. There's a prohibited. Once we have bodhisattva's vow, we cannot break that precepts. If we break these precepts, this can break your bodhisattva's vow. These precepts, if you break these precepts, makes transgress one's bodhisattva's vow. Okay? So, step by step now here. So, how many steps are there in this prohibition? Do you understand what I'm saying? Huh? What do you understand?
The root down for the bodhisattva.
Uh-huh.
Are you asking that?
Yeah. So the step by step, what is that now?
Different levels.
Mm-hmm.
You're asking different levels.
Yeah, and different level what? Explain, describe.
Different level of the root downfall. Different level of the root downfall.
Uh-huh.
Are you asking that?
Maybe I'm not asking very good, proper question here because of this English. Okay, here. What I'm trying to say is that here it says, right, step by step, I will abide and train myself. Step by step, right? What is the step by step now?
Day by day, year by year, we have to be recently practice. Keep
As I mentioned in this chapter number 4, right from the beginning, we described there's a 20 precepts that these are prohibited for bodhisattvas, and there are 4 precepts also prohibited for bodhisattvas, and there are 1 precepts which is prohibited for bodhisattvas, right? So the lowest, how can I say now this?
Minimum requirement.
Huh?
Minimum requirement.
Not minimum. It depends on an individual that if you are not being able to practice the very advanced, so you need to start with a step by step, right? Step by step means now you need to start with the 1 precept bodhisattva's vow, which is just 1 precept, which is aspiration bodhisattva. Regardless, no matter what, I should never lose my aspiration bodhisattva. Even though I'm not being able to apply, even though I'm not being able to practice, but in deep down in my mind, that aspiration to willing to lead each and every sentient beings to enlighten is something I should really hold firmly, no matter what. That 1 precepts. First, this lowest Mahayana practitioner, right? As I told you, the lowest, or the, what do you call it? Lowest Mahayana practitioner? Can I say that? Lowest Mahayana practitioner. Or the inferior Mahayana practitioner. Is it? And then mediocre Mahayana practitioner. And then superior Mahayana practitioner. Yes. So these are the 3 steps. We can step by step. First, we train ourselves to hold aspiration bodhisattva very firmly. Once we very become firm, then jump to the next. Add this another 3 precepts top on that. And then if you are very familiar with those 4 precepts, then add this another 20 precepts prohibition. That way, you step by step, you develop your practice, train. And likewise, those 4 immeasurable, 6 prajna paramitas, are also like that, step by step, practice step by step. This generosity, morality, patience, and diligent, and meditation, and these are actually also order. It is easier and harder, 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 harder. This is also steps. For immeasurable is also like that. Loving kindness is more easier than compassion. And compassion is more easier than rejoicing. And rejoicing is more easier than equanimity. Equanimity is the hardest one. We can have loving kindness to our relatives, our loved one, easily. But it is hard to have to our enemy. And then loving kindness is more easier than compassion to train or the practice. Now train is also like that. Train step by step. That's how it's now this. And in those precepts, step by step, I will abide and train myself. Then you have question. You don't have really much question, huh? Okay, then Anila, what is the 4th chapter main subject? Fourth chapter. Huh? Carefulness. So the carefulness, the first that Shandideva was trying to letting us sense of carefulness to not to transgress our bodhisattva's vow by what letting us understand.
I remember when we promised to act some good action, but after we looked at it, that not good for us, not good for others, we have to stop. To be careful before we do. Very, very important.
Yeah, even though we take pledge, even though we promise, but still it is good to scrutinize, analyze, check. If it is contradicting with your vow, then better not to do even you to promise. That's what he said, right? That's how you should be careful. And then what else okay, same way actually it is not else. That same stanza keep continue going. That first Shandideva, how he is trying to let us have a sense of carefulness. Mhm. Okay, let me read this one here. Now you look into the chapter number 4, and then mm, this chapter number 5 and chapter number 6. Look into the chapter number 5 and chapter number 6. Chapter number 4 and 5, right? 5 and also 6. This 3 stanza. 3 stanza. For if I bind myself with a promise, but fail to carry out my words in deed, then every being will have been betrayed. What destiny must lie in store for me? If in the teaching it is said that those who in their thought intend to give a small and paltry thing, but then draw back, will take rebirth as a hungry spirit. How can I expect a happy destiny if from my heart I summon wandering being to the highest bliss, but then deceive and fail them?
If we make one action very fast, we can.
So this 3 stanza, as I told you earlier, that okay, my question is, through this stanza, 3 stanza, how you can getting it that Shantideva was trying to let us have a sense of carefulness to not lose Bodhisattva's vow. By what? What he is trying to let us understand.
We have to be careful, check our thought carefully before we act.
And this 3 stanza, you read 3 stanza, 4, 5, and 6.
The second line, that's those who in their thoughts instant to give a small and party thing, but then draw back, and will take the bird as a hungry spirit.
This is example. Now this is he's giving example how it is going to be very unfortunate losing or transgressing Bodhisattva's vow. Losing Bodhisattva's vow here, somebody thought, intend to give a flattery thing, but then draw back. That's out of stingy, right? Out of stingy. Okay, for example, first I thought, oh, this cup I should offer to Anila, you. And then later I generate little stingy here. Oh no, this is so nice. If I give it to her, then I will not going to have it. So no, I'll draw back. I don't want to give. That stingy action, that's now I acted this out of stingy, right? Out of stingy. That one action out of stingy can become cause for me to born into pretas.
One, two.
Pretas, hungry ghost. Hungry ghost.
Just one like that?
You see, that is stingy. Yes, that is stingy. Stingy is related with desire. And the action which is out of desire and stingy, that becomes cause to be born in a hungry ghost. Actions which is related with the hated, anger, through hatred, do some actions, then that action becomes cause for oneself to born to hell. Action which is out of kind of like a dilemma, ignorant, and then do some mistake, that becomes cause for oneself to be born to animal. And each action has that power to become. So now here, this one action that I draw back. First, I thought that I should offer this cup. And then later, I desired to this my cup. This is so beautiful. Or if I give it to her, I will not going to have it. So I draw back out of desire and stinginess. And this my action can become cause for myself to born into pretas. If this is a stanza number 5, it is Shantideva. So in teaching, it says that if that the case, then on the other hand, the person who take this bodhisattva's vow, which means that I summon wandering beings to the highest bliss now, isn't it? The person who take the bodhisattva's vow means they took that pledge, they took that promise that I will lead each and every sentient beings to enlightenment. And then now you're drawing back. Now comparing these two, another action is related with the one person, and one is stingy, one desire. If that becomes cause for oneself to born into the pretas, then on the other hand, who promise to lead each and every sentient beings to enlighten, then he draw back what is going to be his destiny.
Very low than.
Yeah, that's what Shantideva was saying. That's what I told you. This 3 stanza Shantideva's, I told you at this moment, you have to imagine with the 4 different person. Do you remember that? 4 different person. Imagine with this. The first type of person who take it, then carelessly transgress, then no more care. That type of person can, the first type of person who take bodhisattva's vow, then carelessly transgress and not trying to repair, then these consequences could happen. And then now here, how Shantideva was trying to let us have a sense of carefulness through this information. To understand that fault, disadvantage of transgressing bodhisattva's vow, understand that, and then generate sense of carefulness. Oh, if that the big I should lose by transgressing this bodhisattva's vow, then better for me to take care of my bodhisattva than taking the other one. That's how Shantideva was trying to letting us generate sense of carefulness to not to transgress this Bodhisattva's vow by letting us understand the fault of transgressing. He already described the benefit of having in the chapter number 1. Now he's describing the fault of losing, transgressing. As I told you earlier, it is always important to understand both advantage and disadvantage. Because I told you, some person is like that. If we only describe this advantage, and some persons like that, okay, even though I don't get this advantage, even though I didn't get this benefit, so what? I'll transgress it. But not only the losing your advantage, but you also taking the disadvantage by losing, by transgressing.
And the person who took the vow, the Bodhicharyavatara, but become of a very strong habit energy, the speaking, the way she speaks, and harming other friends. The person who took the vow and understand the Bodhicitta, the powerful of Bodhicitta, very clear. But become of her, by him, strong habit energy. Every word he or her speaking, harming
Others.
How about that? But she keep doing like that and make others suffer. How about the result of that action?
Yeah. Okay, so now that is tricky here. In one way, yes, this is because of his or her habit, and but when you really have bodhicitta, this will going to be changed. It will not going to be remain there. Definitely, it is going to be changed. It is not going to be remain there that harm others all the time.
So that person, he or her, the Bodhisattva is really there, but not time. That's why.
No, bodhicitta. Okay, if that person have this bodhicitta, and then practicing bodhicitta, and then Ani, you are trying to say is this, that whatever that person says, it becomes harm to others. And that's what I am saying. This too will not going to remain long there. When that person try to practice bodhicitta more, it will going to reduce. It will not going to remain there. I don't think it will going to remain there. It will going to fade out, reduce, fade out.
Because in the Bodhicitta, you have to make a vow that one of the receive, make others suffer. The Bodhicitta, we make the we have received the vow, right? So that action also the broken receive to harm others, make others suffer. That of some of action create a bad karma, right? But if that person continue doing like that, she or he, I don't
It is
know.
also not necessary, Ani. Also, like it depends on that person's intention too. Yeah, intention too. You understand? Not necessarily that, oh, other people get harmed because of your mistake. Not necessary. Sometimes people get hurt even when we talk about what they made mistake. Even when we advise, they get hurt.
Right.
So not necessarily that through my speech other person get hurt because of that my mistake. It is not necessary. It also could be that other persons, whoever the persons, not being able to accept their mistake. Therefore, they get hurt. But other persons trying to advise to stop that, not to continue that, right? When you heard that, it's not a little pleasant. It's hurt. When you hear that, it's hurt, right? So it's not necessarily that, oh, I got hurt, so now you break your bodhisattva's vow. Not necessary. If I hurt you, if that other person's hurt you, that other person, out of hatred, anger, yes, then that becomes break bodhisattva's vow for them. If they say these all words out of love, out of carefulness, care about others, then even though other get hurt, but it is not really breaking bodhisattva vow to that person. So not necessarily always, okay, or other person get hurt by my word, so now I break bodhisattva. Not guarantee. Not necessarily. And then the first that Shantideva was saying this, right? He's trying, I told you, he's trying to letting us have a sense of carefulness to not to transgress our bodhisattva's vow by letting us understand that fault of transgressing. And then another fault of transgressed, and then choose the lower path. And then the third one, transgress it, but repair, back and forth, back and forth. The best is take it and not transgress it. The best one, absolutely. But practically, for us, it is challenge to just take it one and then without any transgressing, maintaining, it's challenge. But at least we can do back and forth. That's not difficult. And Bodhisattva's vow is also like allowed that take every day. It is not something that once you transgress and you lost your chance. It is not like Vinaya vow. There's no limit. That's another good thing about those higher paths. Yes, it is. There's always hope. Even we die tomorrow, today I can take Bodhisattva's vow, and then I die with the Bodhisattva's vow. Right? Okay, so
Take so our time.
now dedicate this merit of discussing about this way of Bodhisattva's life into yourself, okay? With a quietly, unusually 1 minute. Okay, good discussion.